Well, I just did a recording and I deleted it because the sun was coming in here so strong that it was creating like these big whiteout spots. And a whole bunch of interesting kerfuffles occurred. So I'm not posting it. Now, the cards are going to show, I don't know if they're going to show the same thing or not, but the topic of this, sure enough, I'm using a different deck. The same cards are showing up. It's the devil. Okay. I'm almost going to say, I'm thinking that maybe I should just talk this one out. And this one too. This one came out too. The world in the other deck, in the Light Seers deck. So strange. There's so much energy after that reading. My head feels like it's going to explode. It won't. That would make a really interesting video, but who would upload it? So speaking of uploads, there's also been a lot of downloads. So here's the theme for this, and I'm going to try and summarize, probably without cards so much as I'm thumbing through the cards. So the question is, the work that you do in the world, and I don't mean the job that you do, but the work that you do, coming from this place, the heart. This is the Ace of Cups. So the focal point, oh, I wanted to say, the focus and focal point, it starts from here and it radiates outward. When people ask, what is it that you do? Well, tell me what you do. What do you do? They usually mean what you do for a living. And sometimes you get those really annoying people who will say, tell me about yourself. And you say, well, I'm a teacher, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. And then they're like, no, I mean this. And you keep going, and it gets really irritating because nothing you say is it, and you're on the spot. But I'm kind of putting that same question out there to you in that same kind of annoying way. The work that you do out there in the world, is it coming from this devil energy? Let's get a better, he's back here. There he is. There he is. That ego place, that self-serving place, the I instead of we place, confrontational, antagonistic, aggressive, codependent. Or is it coming from that place? And then we have the world. The world. Okay. So what's really interesting in this energy right now is that, we keep getting the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords was in here too, if I can find it again. If I can find it. There's no point. We'll just see what pops up. That Nine of Swords energy is about a conflict. It's an internal conflict. It's not a conflict that's out there. If there is a conflict that's out there, it's because of some unresolved thing in here. And so it keeps you up at night. It keeps bugging you and disturbing you and repeating and going over it and reanalyzing it, over and analyzing it and looking at it from that perspective and this perspective. And did I and should I have, could I? Why did they? How is that? All of those things. And it's not that it's self-inflicted so much. It comes from these lessons and these issues, these things that we want to resolve, that we want to overcome. But we push them away during the daytime, or we push them away. We could distract ourselves with different things. We might distract ourselves with devil energy. It might be those situations that are not healthy in order to not deal with the thing. Maybe it's an addiction, or we get wrapped up in other people's problems, or it's drama, or other kinds of codependent behavior. Focusing on something else, whatever that is, a person, a place, a thing, a situation, a pattern, a habit. A habit? You've caught me at that time of day where my mouth stops working. All of those things sort of are embodied by that Nine of Swords energy, which is in the previous video that I did. And when we go back to the question of the work that we do in the world, and as soon as I say that, it just, the energy comes back here. That's a pretty big thing. In the job that you do, are you doing the work that your soul wants you to do? So regardless of the job that you're doing, the career path you're taking, the task that you're doing at any given moment, are you exercising that feeling? Are you embodying the work that you do in the world? Now, I've recently written a little book. I'm going to show it to you. And there's a message in that book, and it's a nice segue to this reading about fate and about finding your purpose and about defining your purpose. So the next two cards that came out are this messenger, page of discs, and then the Hierophant, this higher perspective. This is like the 5D. This is us in the 5D. There is no illusion up there. All the illusions are down here, and we're waiting for these like little signs, this like knock on the door, the 5D coming down and going, well, here it is. Here's your lesson on a silver platter. And that's not how it works. Your lesson shows up at the tip of a sword, or multiple swords, or 9 swords for that matter. You have this Ace of Swords here again, which is exactly how my brain feels right now. My ears, don't forget, ears are connected to your throat chakra. So ear, nose, and throat, and upper chest. The upper chest area is connected to your heart chakra and your throat chakra. So it's all about self-expression. And if that gets hindered, your respiratory tract usually is also hindered, compromised. When you're not expressing yourself, if you feel that you will be persecuted or criticized. Oh, I just stopped it, and there it is. There's that 9 of Swords. So in this deck, like many decks, swords are often represented by birds because it's an air sign, and it's communication, and it's often chaotic. And with the 9 of Swords, it is very chaotic. And on this cut, I've got the Tower. This reading is a little bit different than the one that I just did, that I didn't upload, but it is a little more cohesive, which is good for you guys. Okay, Judgment. There's some really heavy energies. So during this time, if you watch the previous video, I'm going to say that like 1,000 times in this reading, you're going through this stuff at this time to get ready for that thing that's coming. So you are working on the lessons. You are working on the annoying, persistent, irritating thing that you thought you worked on 1,000,000 times already. It is coming. It's on the verge of showing up. But this last little bit of closing all the loops, finishing the last thing, you know, sewing all the buttons on. You've made the entire suit, and now it's time to put the buttons on the buttonholes. It's kind of useless without it. You know what I mean? It's like 99% of the way there, and then you have the most meticulous, nitpicky little bit of a thing that could throw the whole thing off. Imagine you're stitching a coat or a shirt, like a blouse, a shirt, you know, a dress shirt. It's a complicated thing. But imagine you get through all of that and you don't line up your buttons and your buttonholes at the end. How annoying. How frustrating would that be? I say that because I do know what that's like. It's a little more painful though than having misaligned buttons. So I had this in the previous reading that I didn't upload with the different deck, the 10 of Swords. It is like the maximum number of swords before we reset, before we push through. And look at that. She's actually like blowing those feathers up in the air. Just like what I did. We also hit this. Okay, so we're in tune here. The 2 of Cups. How do you interact with people? What is the reciprocal relationship? As we do our work in the world, our mission, our soul's purpose, that's the thing that feeds our heart. And sometimes you have to interact with people who are difficult, they are contrary, they are full of devil energy. They're shit disturbers. They like confrontation. They might be manipulative. They might be narcissistic. They might be abusive or violent. It might be all of, you know, a combination of these things to varying degrees. How are you supposed to embody this 2 of Cups energy with that? I don't really know, honestly, but it's a question, and it's something that we're striving for, and I'm trying to find that card in here. There it is. There it is. This is really nice energy. We can't always get that. So how do we transcend all of that devil energy? Embody this. You're not going to be able to get this with everybody. Maybe not right away. But how do you quell that devil energy when you're faced with it? How do you soften it? We're getting all this information coming in, and then this like inflamed situation pops up. You're like coasting along, you're like, everything's nice and peaceful, everything's great, and then isn't that something that is part of your path? Is that not something that technically you are aligned to it if it's showing up? So what's it there for? Is it to test you? Is it to prove something to you? It's certainly not meant to draw you back down into it. It's giving you the option, the opportunity to find a way to transcend it. So how do we transcend? That is the question. I'm going to try. I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to use, I used these other cards last time, these little guys. It's not the type of reading for that. I'm going to try these guys. And these I do have to read what it says in the book. Okay. I have no idea what it's going to say. So what we're trying to do is, how do we do our work in the world from our heart, whether we're doing our job, our tasks, boring, mundane things, interacting with nice people, angry people, The drudgery. How do we do that? Oh, this is interesting. Card number 1. There's a little face there with the sun and the moon. We have this wave. Let's see. Let's see. Seriously? You're going to laugh. This is very much in alignment with the book that I wrote. It's a little story about fate. I'll show it to you. It's not released yet, but if you want to get on a list, put a note in the comments, and then I will update you. And when it's updated, you'll be notified. This is the book. This is the book. There's a word here. Fate. I know, I'm making faces at you. So it says, it's card number 1. You can hear my crow outside, putting in her 2 cents. So it's called The Heavens. Card number 1. Destiny, in bold letters. Okay. It says, the heavens unfold across the sky like a sacred book, revealing universal truths and specific destinies. In the book of the heavens, we find access to the mind, the wisdom, and the laws of the Creator. From this infinite throne, the earth is nourished with rain, and transgressors may be struck by lightning. The stars spell out stories and guide the precise rituals. The moon measures time and illustrates the journey of life, from birth to death, all the changes in between. The sun illuminates the world, rendering the details of the heavens invisible, but helping us to see the earth and all around us, which is also a sacred book. So the message is, you're going to think I set this up. Anyway, the message is, step back, look at the big picture, and let time unfold without meddling. Did I just talk about the 5D and the 3D and stepping back into the, honestly, keywords: certainty, truth, changes, harmony, hope, creativity, beauty, rebirth, renewal, destiny. And the time, because all these cards have a time frame, says dawn or dusk, a day, a month, or a year, which is really vague, but it's like a cycle. Okay, so that was weird. I mean, if you've been tuning in long enough, what else is new when it comes to me? Okay, so we'll put that away. So the other thing that I got earlier, and I will show it to you here, was, let's see. Stay tuned. That one. You just have to trust me here. That one. Okay, so I pulled out 2 runes. Now, this one is called Kanaz. It is illumination. It's the bonfire. You think of what is the bonfire in those days? It was the focal point where people accumulated, where they congregated, where they sat to join, usually in a circle. It provided warmth, it provided light, it provided entertainment. You could cook over it, near it. tell stories, whatever, share information. So when we think of the work we do out in the world, are we connected to that thing at all anymore? That bonfire? And think of the bonfire as a good thing. It's not a wildfire running around. It's not a tiny little fire that you just cook over in your house. It's not that. It's a bonfire. It's outside. It's pretty spectacular. That kind of energy is positive. We don't want to quell that. But what about those other fires? When people get inflamed rather than inspired, how do we quell that? And we also have Elgiz, which is it's the beams that you have in a house. It's that structure. It's like a foundation, but it's for the roof. It holds that roof over your head. It's a powerful symbol. Both of them are powerful symbols. One is about illumination, and one is the thing that holds up the roof. And so we're talking about the heavens, and we're talking about destiny, and how are those things intermingled? And how does that pertain to your role in the world, your purpose? So your purpose may be your profession, but even if it is, what's the underlying message? The reason, the why. So that is your homework. You didn't know there would be homework. That is the homework. Just imagine somebody asked you that. Instead of, so what do you do? Come up with something other than your profession. And let that be a new conversation starter. And it comes from the heart. It comes from this place. And watch out for this guy. That's not just external. That's in here. That can be in here also. I'm not even going to go there. There's too many cards. Too many coincidences. I don't think you can have too many, but it's getting a bit weird. Well, that's it for now. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. If you want to be kept in the loop about the book, it's fiction. It's my first work of fiction. When I'm not doing this, I'm a ghostwriter, writing nonfiction. So it's kind of a big book for a girl who only reads skinny nonfiction books. I read very thick reference books, nonfiction. But as far as fiction goes, it's an unusual thing. It's a entirely channeled book. And having said that, it's not woo-woo at all. There you go. Hopefully that's intrigued you.